Okay.
Damn it, we were so close.
Well, fuck it. Here we go.
Fuck it, we do it live.
20.
Welcome to Beerfield, where we're going to spend the majority of the show trying to figure out which coach that is African-American has been hired 3 times, because there's apparently one, and we can't figure it out yet. More on that in a minute. I am your host, at Beerfield Hop, as always, joined by at 3BFF, and that's not his Twitter handle, at Beerfield30. I still haven't gotten that right.
One day.
And we are joined, because I've done doing this new thing where I introduce guests at the beginning of the show instead of the end of the intro so that they can join in the fun with us. We got Shane Manila from Dynasty Trades HQ, DLF, Fantasy Data, Dynasty Intervention, Mannequin Chill, pretty much everywhere. Hell of a time if you haven't listened to one of his podcasts before. We enjoy him. And by this show, he was voted Fantasy Football's most eligible bachelor. So, winner of that Fuelie from us.
Wow, congratulations.
Sweet.
Woo!
Sweet.
What does he
sweet.
win? Another sad Tinder date. Oh.
Oh.
But he's eligible, ladies.
Dan
Look,
didn't didn't even know that either, because my vote counts for 2 and his only counts for 1. So I cast the only vote.
I'm not picky. I'll take men, women, whatever.
No.
I'm non-binary, right? I don't think I used that term correctly at all.
No.
I don't think so either.
You're just fine.
I don't think so at all.
Not at all.
All right, we got some in addition to trying to figure out throughout the show who the head coach was that's been hired 3 times. We've got some other coaching updates for you, some other news. Kind of a big news day. Damn Brian Flores just overshadowing the Tom Brady retirement that was and then wasn't and then was again.
I love it.
He did coach in the same division as him. It's one way that Miami can finally take, charge over the Patriots is Brian Flores, calling them a scumbag franchise.
It's true. And then we got some NFC Dynasty stuff for you. So plenty to come on that. Before we do that, though, we're drinking.
What's fueling Beerfield?
All right, Dan, what do you got?
I'm drinking, not distilled today. I know, shocker.
Wow. First time for everything.
Energy City.
Ooh.
They are finally back down in downstate Illinois. For those of you that are listening that are not in downstate Illinois or in Chicago, you're probably not going to get this. But I am drinking one of their bistro series, which I'm glad that they finally canned and put down here. This is their lemon meringue pie. This is a blender style. This is one of, just like the 450 North stuff. This is heavily fruited, overly caloried beer that doesn't taste like beer. It's modeled to taste like the dessert or smoothie that they're supposed to be representing. So, saw them at the old Benny's I used to work at, and I needed to pick some up because big fan of this brewery.
Awesome. My day today was so good that I had literally had one of the managers I work with send a bottle of bourbon to my house through Instacart. So that's how the day's gone. I logged out approximately 15 minutes before we started the show, which is why I was frantic and running late and fumbling with bad mic stands. But I'm excited because I got some Maplewood I'd never seen before. If you've listened to the show for a while, you know the throbbing erection I have for Maplewood.
This cock is throbbing literally right now.
I've got Grammy cakes. It's a pastry case ale.
It sounds like I may have had it before.
We're getting desserty here. It's an ale with cinnamon vanilla coffee, natural graham cracker flavor.
Do Girl Scouts sell this?
Probably.
Adult Girl Scouts.
And I would spend more on them than I did on Girl Scout cookies. By the way, I don't know if you've seen the meme, Dan, where it's like the crazy looking dude that's like, I'm going to mash in the Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah.
I bought a pound of the lemon Girl Scout cookies that I'm definitely going to mash into something.
Well, we're about to get a foot and a half of snow. So
I don't have them yet.
Cheers. This is why we're drinking dessert beers, because Illinois is about to set records for snowfall. At least downstate. I don't know about Chicago, but downstate definitely.
I feel like the weather report is going to be like what happens when I promise somebody 17 inches.
It's going to be the inverse of how we used to predict players' heights and weights.
We're just going to come up a little bit short. Shane, what do you got in this low cup?
I'm switching things up, and I'm drinking from a small little brewery called Jack Daniel's Distillery.
Ooh, never heard of them.
Yeah, little up and comer. I love them, so I'm drinking a little Jack and Coke this evening.
Awesome.
In a Jameson cup because
why not?
Well, I didn't want to get a glass one. So I didn't want to get one of my glass Jack and Coke cups out.
I've been sipping Old Forester since about 3:00 until we hopped on here. So
there you go.
And there's a giant shelf of whiskey behind me. All right. News. Got some hires, and then we'll get into the really fun stuff. All right. Starting off, not fun. Josh McDaniels to the Raiders. I hate it.
Until he decides to back out. Last second. That's just what he does.
His pull-out game's strong.
So, devil's advocate.
Sure.
Because, whatever. That's what I do.
Hell yeah.
Well, so, maybe Josh McDaniels has learned a lot in the decade since he was last a head coach, right? I know it's easy to poop all over his head for pulling out on the Colts, but we can also look at it as, he knew it was a situation that his heart wasn't going to be into, that his mind wasn't going to be into, and he did the honorable thing and stepped away before he ruined the franchise. No,
he decided to ghost, decided to ghost him, but tell him first,
right?
The honorable thing to do on Tinder.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, hey, I just need you to know I'm going to block you.
I'm just want to let you know it's not me, it's you.
It's definitely you. This is completely there's nothing wrong with me. It's completely you weirdo.
It's all you.
So I will say this for McDaniels. I'll play a little bit into Shane's devil's advocate here. There are some nice parallels between what he's had success with the Patriots and what the Raiders' current roster is. You've got a couple of backs that you can mix and match. You've got a tight end that can very, very easily be utilized in the receiving game, and you have a stud slot receiver that runs excellent routes. So there are a lot of parallels to the things that he used well in New England that I think does make a bit of sense. Even including Derek Carr. I mean, we saw what he was able to get out of Mac Jones in year one and how he was able to game plan to that. So, if he can make that translate better this time than he did a decade ago, then it could end up being successful.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. The center of controversy right now, Brian Dable to the Giants.
Oh, boy. I liked the hire before I knew that it was
I mean,
it was involved in a lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean,
it's not his fault, but
not his fault. It just goes to show that the Giants organization might be a piece of shit. I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point, but maybe this is a good hire.
I wanted him in Chicago, or I really wanted him with Justin Fields, every last part of me, or in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, but that was really a pipe dream. Hey, Daniel Jones, let's go. Maybe he can get him up to a QB 15 season.
They're gonna draft Malik Willis.
Yeah,
just so he can be the quote unquote next Josh Allen, because he's got a big arm and he's mobile.
And that's going to be what's interesting about Dable in New York is, can he unlock another level of Daniel Jones? How much of that was him versus Dorsey and Allen and him reaping the benefits? We'll see. New York also a tough place to coach. So, I kind of hate that for him because he's somebody that seems like the players like him after the success he had. I want him to do well. And New York is a pressure cooker and with a dumpster fire of a roster right now.
Yeah. That's the last place I would want a head coach.
Yeah, he's got his work cut out for him.
I think there's worse places that
I mean, it's not just the team, but it's the fact that you're in New York's market and just it's a lot. I mean, that does come with the job too. Like if you play with one of these, high market cities, no, and that just no.
All right,
we'll see though.
We will see indeed. Matt Eberflues to the Bears.
Who?
Matt Eberflues.
I literally no idea who that was. Like when I saw that come across my Twitter feed, I literally went, I don't know this guy. Like where, who?
For anybody else that's saying that question, former Colts defensive coordinator. They are bringing in Luke Getsy to be the offensive coordinator, who is the passing game coordinator for the Packers. Thanks for the formatting change. And then Eberflus also has come out and said that unlike Nagy, he will not call defensive plays. Well, Nagy didn't call defensive plays either. He will not call plays from the position he came from. He is going to focus on actually being a head coach, which is kind of refreshing compared to what you normally see when a coordinator gets promoted.
That means it can't be placed on him if calls suck. All right.
I mean, so what I like about it is that he has enough sense to know that a head coach job is very different than a coordinator job, right? Yeah. Obviously, there's been guys that have been able to handle all of it to certain levels of success, like Andy Reid, probably the most famous with his one Super Bowl. But then you have guys like Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is kind of like he'll step in when he feels like it, on defense and whatnot. But he kind of lets his coordinators coach, and that's kind of what you need to do as the head coach. Like you're like a vice president. You're like the president of the United States when you're a head coach. There you go. Sure, that analogy works. And you want your coordinators to be the Senate and Congress to pass laws and bills. But you want them to do their job. You want them to be able to call the plays, and you want to be able to check in with both of them. But you got a lot on your plate as a head coach. A lot of CEO stuff. I heard someone describe it as today, which is very true.
Yeah, I
it's well said. I mean, I got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing to add. It's well said. We're just gonna move on.
Shane, way to show up.
He's showing up, coming out firing. Nathaniel Hackett to the Broncos. Rodgers bait. I think we talked about this last week.
Rodgers likes him a lot, and he was talking about how much he liked him, and Getsy, who I know little to nothing about, although I read up on as soon as Chicago hired him, because, again, I wanted to see who was taking care of my Justin. Mm-hmm. That's all I got. Rodgers really likes him. He called plays when Blake Bortles – he made Blake Bortles
He made Blake Bortles look good.
Yeah, Bortles was good while he's with him, at least in garbage time.
Yeah.
It's all that matters.
It is what matters. He was good for fantasy. That's
all that fucking matters for us, right?
And Getsy got a lot out of Rodgers the last couple of years with, not a lot around him necessarily, as did Hackett. So, it's good for the Broncos, who have a lot of weapons over there. It's definitely Rodgers bait, and we'll see how that unfolds over the offseason, because we're not going to be able to shut up about that for 4 months.
Rodgers, it feels like because he's a selfish piece of shit. Like, he wants to go to the best division in football, the hardest division to probably come out of in football for the next 10 years, and prove that he's so better than Mahomes and Herbert. Because if you're a veteran quarterback trying to go one last ride, why the fuck would you pick the AFC West? Why would you want to go through Mahomes and Herbert? Right? That's got to be the case.
Ego, and also
Brady chose the NFC South knowing Breeze is almost done. Yeah. Matt Ryan's almost done. It may be warm, that's great, but a very easy division to walk through.
Well, there is also that you get to play the Chiefs in the playoffs, and the Chiefs in the playoffs, as per the norm of an Andy Reid coach team, will shit all over themselves in the playoffs and lose. So there's that. So, I mean, he knows if he does see the Chiefs in the playoffs, he's going to knock them out. So that's
and then you get to, see Buffalo and Baltimore, and now you have the Bengals. It's like, yeah, man, I'm going to leave the NFC North.
Remember a few years ago when the NBA was the Western Conference was just dominating, and it seemed like it was just so much better. That's what the AFC is turning into, and I realized that when I was looking through some ADP today. But yeah,
it's rough, man.
Yeah.
Like the NFC Conference is like barely any quarterbacks of the future. Like it's going to be rough sledding.
Daniel Jones. We just talked about Daniel Jones. Forget.
I'm sorry,
And I feel like Justin Fields was tossed out there a minute ago too.
Well, that's good. And you know how much I love Justin Fields. But one guy it's not going to be able to take on.
It's going to shift, though. I mean,
guys.
they're going to catch up here over the next couple of years, and some of those guys in the AFC, that are at least newer will flame out. But I mean, they were going to have some established guys over there for a while.
Right.
I'm just it just happens that way.
And then the 2023 NFL draft class with quarterbacks is going to be pretty good. So
we got at least two so far.
A lot of those guys will end up in the NFC because, frankly, the AFC is not going to need them.
I mean, Detroit's pretty much getting there.
Yeah.
There'll be at least one team.
1, 2. Nope. Raheem Morris, only 2.
Damn it!
I'm going through a list.
We're going through it, folks.
I am going through it. So if I'm a little slower, lackadaisical, that's why. The one guy I had to say who to, Adam Stinovich, is the Packers run game coordinator, got promoted to their offensive coordinator. So yay! Congrats. Not gonna
run
change
game
much.
Looked pretty good. I mean, more for AJ Dillon.
Yeah, I mean.
I thought there was going to be. I mean, there should have been more for AJ Dillon anyway. He ate into.
No, I agree
Aaron
with
Jones
that.
Share a lot, and Aaron Jones is going to be 27, 28. I don't know. He's old for a running back, not for a human. And AJ Dillon looked like a stud last year. Really, to be quite honest with you, when he's back there, he looked like a good pass catcher. Like he's not the pass catcher. He's not at the level that Aaron Jones was. But he's definitely not hurting you out there.
I mean, with them having to move from potentially Rodgers to Jordan Love,
you're going to want to
have to run more. Yeah, you're going to see a lot more RPOs and stuff like that too, probably. But it's in a good spot for them to be maybe run a little more run focused because they still got a good defense too.
Right. Yeah, you both those guys might get 200 carries next year.
They could. They very well could, especially if Rodgers goes. Mike McDonald hired as the Ravens defensive coordinator. He's coming in from Michigan.
Yep. I haven't looked much into him just yet, but
yeah, I haven't either.
I Big Ten defensive coordinator, they always seem to be pretty good.
It's defense. I don't care.
Yeah. We don't fucking play IDP here.
We don't talk defense here.
Yeah, the fuck is
okay then.
Didn't go to school to play IDP.
Jim Harbaugh, Vikings head coach, unofficial right now, but rumored to be official the next day or two.
Yeah, there is a report. There's been a couple tweets out there saying that he will accept an offer if Minnesota lends one out tomorrow. Obviously, very successful. The relationship with Balky back in San Francisco was pretty turmoil towards the end of his tenure, and that's what kind of led him to be the scapegoat when all this shit hit the fan. So Harbaugh, he's a winning coach. I guess it's a we'll see. He's had reports of being pretty egotistical and hard to work with, but a lot of that can be kind of quiet if you're winning games and, perennial playoff team and potential Super Bowl favorites. So.
Yeah, it's going to be – look, we know he can have success at the NFL level. It's going to be – we saw him have success at Michigan. It's going to be, can he transition back to the NFL game? It's not – I want to say it's not the same as it was when he left, but in a way, since, he coached with Kaepernick, it kind of was transitioning to more of what it is now. So Harbaugh's one of the few that I don't worry about, like that the game has passed him up necessarily. I think he'll be okay.
I think he'll come back in and with a chip on his shoulder. And I mean, the Vikings have a good roster. I think if they do hire Harbaugh, they're going to more than likely try to retain Cousins and try to squeeze what's ever out of this defense. The offense, we all know, it's definitely, playoff caliber, high scoring calibers. It's just whether or not the defense can I guess overplay their ability.
The only thing I'm worried about Harbaugh is he was death to wide receivers in college.
I know that.
Yeah,
and they kept getting 5-star recruits.
And that's the thing, like DPJ and
fuck?
Tariq Black, and there was another one after that. I forget who, but he had 3 5-star recruits who.
I mean, Nico Collins was a
Nico
4,
Collins.
Right?
He was up there. I think their combined draft capital was like 15 rounds. Because I don't even think Tariq Black was drafted. I don't even remember what happened to him, to be quite honest with you. He's still on my Devy roster somewhere, and I'm like waiting for him to. Like, he's not turning pro. What's going on, guys? He's 26. I do worry a little bit about that, but I guess.
Has he ever had a Jefferson caliber? Besides,
it'd be
maybe
pretty hard to screw that up, right?
Yeah, and you already have all the pieces in place.
Yeah,
you have a good passer in Cousins.
5th highest winning percentage in NFL history. 695 winning percentage.
3 NFC Championship games in 4 years, man.
I don't really remember what happened in San Francisco why he left, to be quite honest with you. I don't feel like rehashing it. I don't really remember though.
There's a lot between him and Balky. They won 8-8. I'm looking at they won 8-8. I think there was a lot of issues with Kaepernick too, and then I forgot who the backup was to that too. There were just a lot of problems. I think he just ended up being the scapegoat.
Dead air is good for podcasting.
No, I thought I was waiting for you to come in with some like profound thought there.
I didn't have a profound thought. I'm still trying to figure out.
We're goddamn committed to this state.
I like it.
Ken Dorsey, Bills offensive coordinator. This is good. I was a little worried when he might be leaving for New York. This gives the Bills continuity there, though.
That's all you need, right?
That's all you need. Yeah. A little continuity. All right.
But can I ask you this? Well, I don't know if this makes me feel old. Does this make you feel real old? This makes me feel really old. I remember watching Ken Dorsey in college.
Yeah, you're kind of old.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Ooh, Denny Green.
Denny Green 3 times. Vikings, Arizona.
No, it was just Vikings in Arizona.
That's it. Yeah.
I said that. I said that before we hopped on the air. He's the first one I looked up.
Did you? Oh, did you? Oh, I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah, he was the first one I looked up. Vikings forever, and then the Cardinals.
Yeah,
he's only 2.
But he last with the Cardinals 2 years.
3.
I think 3.
Mm-hmm. He also coached in the
Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson's 2.
2 as well.
Cleveland and
Oakland.
No. Oh yeah.
Oakland and Cleveland. He was OC in Cincy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Oakland.
I wonder if it's a guy that was an interim coach for like half a year. That's got to be it.
We should share with the audience what we're trying to figure out.
I thought we've told them.
So we're trying to figure out who the one. Okay, let's just cut ahead because we're at the end of the coaching hires. We'll go around this. Let's talk Brian Flores in that situation for a minute because that's what spurred all this.
Yeah.
Brian Flores is suing the NFL, the Giants, the Broncos, and who's the third team? I don't know.
Dolphins?
Miami. That's what it is.
Yeah.
For racism and discrimination in the hiring process. Bill Belichick texted him congratulations that he heard that the Giants were going with Brian Dable before Flores was ever interviewed. Stephen Ross apparently was trying to bribe Flores to lose games and force him into tampering with Deshaun Watson.
I
Sorry,
am so not
never
shocked
mind.
by that.
Is that who that was?
Unnamed
is that
superstar quarterback.
Yeah, unnamed. Jesus Christ!
By arranging a meetup on the yacht, which he then had to leave. So, he's suing for discrimination. Wants to see some changes, some programs. I'd be surprised if there aren't some sanctions that come down for this, at least for the Stephen Ross shit, and maybe on the Giants for making up their mind before they interviewed the minority candidate.
Yeah. But, and none of it's funny, so let me not say what's funny about it. A lot of this is shit that I've always thought. Like I've always been like, this Rooney Rule doesn't seem to be working because like they'd give a cursory interview to some guy, and it usually would be, and they've gotten a little better with it lately. But the NFL, you would usually give like a guy like that has no shot. Like we were joking, he's like the special teams video coordinator, and he's African American. So some NFL team would give him an interview and be like, "Look, we tried, we did our best," and we did some math on it. There's been 511 head coaches in the history of the NFL.
Yeah,
and
something like that.
20 of them have been African American, which works out to 3.9% of the population. 3.9%. Like that's not, sometimes you can make stats say whatever you want, right? I've heard people say that. That's a pretty damning stat. Like that's 96% of the head coaches in the history of the NFL
have been white.
Have been white. Or Robert Saleh is Iranian, right? Or Iraq. I forget. I think he's
like
Middle
Eastern.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll take him out of it. So 95.8% of the coaches in the NFL have been white. Like there's no other way to say it, but that is an openly, blatantly discriminatory practice. Like you can't be that white basically without trying. You literally can't. You can't. You can't tell me that all these ex-NFL players that can come through that are white guys that could somehow be coaches, the same, the players, black African-American players couldn't have been coaches. It's clearly discriminatory. And I said that word wrong. I can't wait until Discovery. I just want to see all this out in the open. Like, I want to see the text messages that Bill Belichick got from the Bills, or
right.
Excuse me, from the Giants, not the one that he sent, the one where he sent to the wrong Brian.
Yeah, he's just supposed to go to Dable when it went to Flores instead. Oh,
I'd love to see the text messages that he got. I'd love them. Look, we saw Gruden's emails, right? And that was very specific. The NFL was like, "Hey, we want Gruden gone, so we're going to let these emails leak." I want the rest of those Washington emails to leak. Like, I just want it all to come out because it's ugly, right? And the only way to clean it up is in sunlight. Like, that's the best antiseptic.
No, I want it all to come out as well, and I want to see them come down. I mean, there's multiple issues at hand with this. It's not just the racism issue, which is huge. And if you've watched the NFL, if you've followed the hiring cycles, you know this happens. There's no reason that Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a job, right? There's no reason that Byron Leftwich, with his track record of success under Arians, was not hired. That Jacksonville somehow got close and then screwed that up.
Yeah, it's convenient.
Conveniently. There's just no way that's not the case. And then we know taking is rampant in the NFL, but this is it. This is the first time you've had damning evidence of a GM actively trying to incentivize tanking. And then the forced tampering. Like, I would be surprised if with the tanking allegations, if something doesn't happen on the Stephen Ross front. Outside of just, fined.
I wonder if it'll be treated like Bountygate. When you're actively trying to hurt players, and you saw fines, draft picks taken away. Sean Payton was banned for a year. I wonder if you're going to see. I mean, I know from the owner's level, it might be more tough to do, but I'm wondering if that's what type of punishment that we're looking at as they're doing, their full-on investigation.
So here's the problem, right? You're trusting, and I know I'm throwing all these issues into the same thing.
I know.
We're expecting the NFL to self-police themselves, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, that's not worked in the issue of race. Like, I think the only thing that ever scares any of these owners is threatening their antitrust exemption. Which, just for shorthand, would cost them a shit ton of money, a fuck ton of money. That's all they care about. And I think that's literally the only thing that would change the practices in the NFL. Because, look, the Rooney Rule's been in place for how long now? 20, 30 years?
Yeah.
And it hasn't helped. It literally hasn't. Like, we were just reading when we were trying to find how the history of NFL black coaches, and I saw there was a story 3 years ago about how there was only 3 black NFL coaches, and now I'm like, well, there's one.
There's one now. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like the federal government to overstep, but because they have given an antitrust exemption to the NFL among the other major sports, that's something that needs to be threatened, or it's not going to change. It's just not. Now the tanking thing. Yeah, look, I'm from Philly, so I lived through the process where it was almost, it was never outright said that they were tanking, but they were. But nothing like that ever came out. Like there was never a time where the GM went to Brett Brown and was like, hey, if you lose a little bit tonight, you know what I mean? He went about it the honorable way. He got the worst possible players he could. Told Brett Brown, good luck.
Hey, man, we preach that shit in Dynasty.
Yeah.
And if you want to get the 101, do it the proper way. Trade all your good players away.
Right. Don't just incentivize it. Tell people not to try, et cetera, et cetera. That's,
right.
And berate them for winning. Other than Tom Brady retired. Somehow that's overshadowed. Tom Brady retired.
What?
Just in case you've been under a rock. Well, he did retire, and then he didn't retire, and then he did retire again. Stop scooping players' retirements.
He wanted to announce that so bad. It's like, God damn it, shit. That's why he was like, well, wait a minute, I may not retire. 3 days later, yeah, guys, I'm fucking gone. And Patriots fans are pissed because I guess in his long posts.
No, he didn't.
Instagram posts.
I noticed that. He didn't say a damn thing about him.
Guys are so mad about it.
Not a thing.
Makes me like Brady even more. Conveniently leave the Patriots out of your
just entirely
goodbye talk. I forget about the first 20 years I was in the NFL. Fuck that team.
He's probably going to have a parade for himself in New England. I'm thinking.
Why did I have a Trace McSorley college stats page up?
On purpose?
Yeah. Apparently.
Who is going to be replacing Lamar Jackson?
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah. Not Trace McSorley.
The next Tyrod Taylor, Tyler Huntley.
I'll take it. Tyrod Taylor had some. Well, he never had as many.
He backed up Flacco for all that time, and he goes to Buffalo finally. He didn't win a lot of games, but he's relevant.
All right. Steelers GM Kevin Colbert stepped down after the NFL draft. So, woohoo. He'll get one more draft in, then that'll change over. Tomlin's kind of got personnel wrapped up there anyway. It's officially hand season. Kenny Pickett declined to be measured. He's working his thumb out for the beast measurement. He has a double-jointed thumb, I guess, and didn't want to be measured because of that.
I'm so glad we're in a hand size season.
Look,
boys.
How it is. When it bends funny, you really don't want to measure it because you know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah, you want to try to get the full straight line measurement.
I'm just saying, you don't.
It's been single for so long, you gotta
a straight line. A straight line measurement when it bends doesn't give you an accurate depiction of what you're working with. So I understand what Kenny Pickett's saying about his thumb.
It's true.
Very true.
Very true. It's also we need to fill content season. So Allen Robinson would, quote, be a good fit for the Colts practice squad. The Eagles will pursue DJ Chark if they need a deep threat to go opposite Devonta Smith. And I didn't mean to put Brian Flores versus the NFL because that's not just filling content. That's just kind of where it went. So, yeah. I don't have thoughts on either of those things. It's just welcome to the time of the season where you're going to start seeing a lot of that. And don't read too much into it.
Wishful thinking mocked up as rumors that have literally no merit to them.
And that's what both of those things probably are. I mean, Robinson is a free agent, so he can go wherever.
He wouldn't even be a good fit there.
No. It's duplicate of Pittman.
Yeah, they need a T.Y. Hilton from 10 years ago.
Right. He wouldn't be. And you don't even know, after the dumpster fire of a season, right, you can blame the offense as much as you want. Top wide receivers overcome that. So what is Allen Robinson, and what does he have left?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
He's gonna find the best quarterback possible that will want him. All he wants.
Mac Jones.
Yeah. He's going to Oakland.
I'm 29 years old. I'm taking whoever's giving me the most money.
No,
'cause
no
it's my
shit,
last
right?
contract.
Yeah. He don't give a fuck.
I mean, he might as well have played in Oakland this year. That's how invisible he was. The NFL team left Oakland, and he just forgot. Just stayed there.
Wait a minute. What happened here?
It's like Will Smith in the mansion after everybody left. Allen Robinson just looking around the Oko Coliseum. Where is everyone? Shouldn't I be doing something?
Good times.
Eagles pursuing DJ Chark. Okay.
Okay, whatever.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, look, the only good thing about that is perhaps it would stop them from drafting another wide receiver in the first round.
Badly.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, I'd rather they go wide receiver in free agency than the draft, but that's just because I'm shell shocked after all the wide receivers they've taken in the first couple of rounds.
Sir.
And second rounds, it's like a worse Cardinals situation.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and start with let's do some dynasty check-in, shall we? So the way this works, we're gonna round robin. We'll each take a player, talk about them. There will be some swearing, I'm sure, because I already see one guy that's duplicated here. So
What the fuck?
yeah. What are you cursing for?
I'm just saying, fuck, man. You said there's going to be extra cursing in the show.
I mean,
I see fucking is duplicated. I don't see the same player duplicated.
that's because we didn't put our players in here. Mine are in a different sheet.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
I
I put some players in here just to have some fun with it.
Okay.
Secret sheet.
So
Secret sheet.
this will be
Robert
fun
likes
to
be
see
mysterious.
who I'm duplicated up with. All right, we're gonna start with stock up. Whoever put Elijah fucking Mitchell, go ahead. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I put Elijah fucking Mitchell. He was basically he didn't exist in August. RB69. Nice. Yeah, we're Jesus. One day we'll grow out of that. I don't know when. No. Well, maybe the next generation will. I have hope for them. Probably not.
I'm raising the next generation. I don't.
No, I've talked to my sons. They're not, that's not going to turn out great for us. Anyway, Elijah Mitchell. I still think he's way too low I don't know, way too low, but he's still too low. RB18. I think the stink of his draft capital is still all over him. And I get it. Trust me. I tried to talk him down most of the year. Like, he's not that good. He just, he hits the hole well. He's a one-cut runner, so he kind of just fits the system. All right, you know what? He's good. He's really good. And then what I liked, San Francisco started using him as a receiver towards the end of the season, because that was my final gripe on him. Was like, well, he doesn't catch passes, so he could never be a high-end or running back. Well, guess what? He catches passes now, too. He does everything. Came out of nowhere. A lot of people like myself incorrectly drafted Trey Sermon. We talked ourselves into the running back that we sometimes do. Not you, Dan, but I did.
I hated Trey fucking
I talked myself into it.
I talked myself into it too.
I'm like, San Francisco, great landing spot. They traded up for him.
I had one share that I also paired up with Elijah Mitchell.
So you won. So,
I was like, all right, I'm fine.
Yeah, now. Elijah Mitchell, that's my dude. Stock up from the beginning of the season.
All right, my stock up is going to be a guy that was less unknown, but more is seen as kind of a dart throw. A guy that we thought could be good, but weren't really sure what the role was going to fit. Knew he'd need a little time to emerge. There was definitely some bust potential there, but that was Amon-Ra St. Brown. So by all measures, I think he blew away his rookie expectations. Caught on the back half of the season, 5 touchdowns over the last several games, 70-plus yards in the last 6 games. So it's 5 touchdowns over the last 6 games, 70-plus yards in each game over the last 6 games, double-digit targets in that time frame. Yeah, it's not Hawkinson, but it's what you want to see. Stepped up, took advantage of that situation. Target volume, expect to probably increase going forward. It was kind of a slow start to the season for Amon-Ra St. Brown as they, eased him in. But he definitely carved out a role as the season went on. Very, very high percentage catch rate, low ADOT, but very, very high percentage targets that he was making good on. He was 11th in YAC, which if you're going to have a low ADOT, you've got to be good at that. And that's total yak. That's the second. That is with just the second half breakout. That's half a season's worth of yak, essentially. He had a high red zone target share, 6th in catches, targets, and catch rate. So he was just stellar, kind of all around over that back half of the season. And he showed some of the traits that matched his college role, working, again, low A dot, middle of the field, stellar in contested catch situations. So overall, I think he's gone from what we would consider a middle-of-the-road wide receiver with bust potential to a guy where you can really see, potentially having one of the higher floors out of this rookie class as it moves forward. Now, there are some things, particularly as it relates to depth of target and ADOT, that might be a little concerning. But, overall, I think seeing that out of year one was more than a lot of people anticipated to see and really helped drive his stock up.
Yeah, I see him listed in the trade away potentially, so I think we can come back.
We will come back to this, and I don't disagree with that. We'll get to that.
He's very polarizing right now. He's one of the more polarizing. What to do with where we were with James Robinson, but this point last year, it's kind of in the same vein. And I'm gonna go top head. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that stock up does feed into trade away too, right? His stock is up. Yeah. So, I mean, if he's immediately into that because you're getting your ROI, if you're worried about him coming down from that. So, anyway, go ahead, Dan.
I'm going to go, we had our low, we've had some heavy hitters, but I got to give more props to Dable Samuel, right? At this point, last year, I just had his fucking thing up here. Where did it go? His ADP per DLF was somewhere 70, got as low as the 80s there towards the summer as you got more Ayuk buzz. Right now, as of today, or as of January, 17.5. We know what Dable did this year, like monster season. Used all over the field, being utilized as a running back in spite of having Elijah Mitchell during his breakout before and after he was hurt. He has become the true jack of all trades, and he's going to, I think, promote other teams or influence other teams to try to find the next Debo. Like that's been conversations throughout, and we're going to continue to see, I think, him. I don't think we've even seen him hit his plateau in terms of where he's being drafted and where he's being ranked amongst other wide receivers, especially if he comes out in 22 and balls out with Trey Lance. My only concern is, for the love of fucking God, please stop actually using him as a running back. The dude has been banged up since fucking college. He's big, but he's just, why are you giving the most important player, the second most important player in your team now, outside of Trey Lance, this many unnecessary hits? He's been banged up through the NFL, like I said, through college. I want to see him healthy. He missed one game this year, and which is, I mean, to his standards is great, but let's please just utilize him more as that traditional receiver. At least don't run him up the fucking middle
10 times a game.
10 times a game.
Stop it.
It's like, God, Jesus Christ, man, come on.
Yep, and that's really the one concern too. You keep using him like that, does he, continue to get banged up, continue to get blasted, continue to hurt himself? But I mean, I like the versatility.
Look, any wide receiver, really, right? Not just Debo because of his injury history. Like, even if it was a guy that was fully healthy, he's never been injured in his life, never been sick. One of those guys that's never even had the flu. You know those guys. You've met them at work.
Yeah, fucking assholes. They always brag about it.
I haven't had a cold since 1963. And you're like, I don't even think you were alive back then, but whatever, dude. Sure. I don't want to see any wide receiver getting that kind of usage, healthy or not, unless it's Laviska Shenault, because that's probably the only way he could be useful, except that he would still be bad. So either way, it's so a win. Much. Yeah, I know. Look, the Laviska was the Debo.
I know.
Everybody said, oh, he's like Debo.
And he was utilized that way, in college too. He got heavy uses as a runner out of the backfield because Colorado was so bad.
Sorry. Had a sore spot.
I know. Saints.
Yeah, I can't figure this out. I still cannot figure this out.
All right.
I've been
Stock
digging
down?
and digging. Yes, stock down. All right, I'll go ahead and kick this one off.
Go ahead.
Because I got to go back to my research. All right, stock down for me is going to be Alvin Kamara. And, there's really a handful of running backs that you can mention here in the NFC as they start to age. But I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara. His stock came I think, way, way down this year. Worst efficiency number in his career. It's his year 26 season. He was just 3.7 yards per attempt. Touchdown numbers were way down. Utilization was up, but he couldn't really overcome the offense around him and outperform that situation. He's got another 1 to 2 years in New Orleans on his contract. They're about to enter a rebuild. That's before they have a potential out. He was 49th in points per opportunity, second in drops. Efficiency was fine as a pass catcher, but evaded tackles, juke rate, both down from previous years. Alvin Kamara got bit, I think, more than anybody else by the situation around him, or almost more than anybody else by the situation around him, going from a previously, very, very good situation and splitting carries and being used in the right ways to really having to shoulder the brunt of the offense. And while the volume was there, the efficiency was not. And that's not something that's going to go, unnoticed going forward, especially, is Peyton's not there anymore. What do the Saints do to help rebuild that team? It's just, a situation where I don't know that Alvin Kamara's value has been lower since he entered the NFL.
I love that. And he's probably going to lose his starting left tackle in Teron Armstead, whose Spotrac guesstimates, or I guess they don't use the word guesstimates because that would sound less professional than what they call it. They say his market value is somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 years, $95 million. Saints are $71 million over the cap right now. I actually did a write-up on them. I don't know that off the top of my head. I just did a write-up on their cap situation. They can get under. They only need to restructure 18 contracts. So they're fine.
Only 18 contracts.
Yeah. Michael Thomas might be one of those guys, too, where it might behoove them to just move on from Michael Thomas after June. That offense could be really ugly next year. And I don't want Kamara getting 300 rushing attempts. I've never wanted that in my life.
No, you want him getting 160 and working in the passing game and
100 targets,
high efficiency and end zone work, 100 targets.
No one ever asked for him to be a bell cow running back. We just please get him back his targets. Whoever the new head coach is there.
And they also, as you mentioned, they also lost Sean Payton. This is a move where the Saints might be going into total, which sucks because, great defense, right? Good young defense, a lot of good pieces there. It sucks to see them waste that. So depending on who they hire for head coach may tip the scales and see what they want to do with some of these pieces. But I agree. Thomas Kamara could be a trade piece potentially, depending on what his contract looks like. And, there's got to be a team or two out there that would love to have, Kamara and his skill set.
Yep.
All right. Whoever wants to go next, I don't care.
Saquon Barkley. He's done. He's fucking dust. Just trade him now. If I get hit by a truck tonight, and the last thing you remember Shane ever said, and you're at my funeral, I want you to be like, I remember the last thing Shane ever said to me was, get rid of Saquon Barkley because he's fucking dust. Do that. He's dust, dude. He's just done. He's fucking. I heard Jordan McNamara talking about him on Pat Fitzmaurice's podcast today, and he put it perfectly. Devontae Booker outplayed him last year. Yeah, dude, you're Saquon Barkley. You were supposed to be the Jesus of running backs. You were Jonathan Taylor before Jonathan Taylor was Jonathan Taylor.
He was the Danny and Tomlinson.
He was
reincarnated in 2018.
He was, and then every injury you could find hit him, tied to a terrible offense. Somehow he's still the running back 8 in DLF ADP right now. I behoove you, I beg of you, unless you're in a startup with me, which I doubt because I'm not getting in any. But do not draft Saquon Barkley at running back 8. Do not do that. And if you can trade him for a 2023 first and even a little bit, like I give me a second too. And the guy will feel like he's got a steal. Like, I got Saquon Barkley, and I'm like, yeah, you did, you got him from me. Good for you. Take those picks. Just get him off your roster, dude. It's going to get ugly quickly.
At least he was top 10 in target share. I mean, that's the only saving grace when I'm looking over his metrics. I'm playerprofile.com. 9th in target share, top 5 in stack front scene.
Yeah, it was a stack front scene, and you know, even if that regresses, I think the best you can hope for is his sophomore season, which wasn't that good. I mean, his rookie season was great. His sophomore season was meh. And I think that's where his ceiling stands today, is that, you know, he gets back to somewhere around that sophomore form where he had just over 1,000 yards and there's like 80 some odd targets. And if that happens, you better be moving on from him, because that's, I think, the highest his value would get again.
He just looked so zapped. Like I'm sure there'll be reports that he wasn't fully recovered, but he looked
zapped.
He looked uninterested at times too. I mean, I get it, the Giants and that, you know, clusterfuck, but my God,
he didn't look special.
Okay,
like I don't know how else to put it. Like Saquon looked special coming out of college. Saquon looked like special his rookie season and up until I guess midway through his second year, whenever he got hurt. But he has not looked like the same guy in like a couple of years. And look, lower body injuries are going to do that to you. He's still got sexy quads. I mean, they're beautiful. And those calves and his thighs they're all scrumptious, but they're unfortunately not helping him on the football field anymore. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
They're all show muscles. Yeah. They're show muscles at this point.
He's getting excited over there. I'm blushing.
All right, here you go. I think it's Romeo Crennel, based on the way this is worded.
Oh.
Moreover, unsuccessful white head coaches routinely get second and third chances in critical positions, including as head coach, offensive, or defensive coordinator.
That's
Indeed,
right.
According to a 2021 NFL Diversity and Inclusion report, since 1963, 116 white individuals have been hired as head coach or coordinator after an initial head coach opportunity, whereas only 21 individuals of color have received the same second chances. The same report noted that only one person of color has received 3 head coaching opportunities, whereas 15 white men have received 3 head coaching opportunities. 2 of the 15 received 4.
Cleveland, Kansas City, and then Houston.
He was the
2020.
interim. He was the interim.
Coach. Yep.
And that is a opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an opportunity. So they didn't even hire him for the job. It was just like, dude, you're here. Do you think you could just fill in for a couple weeks?
Yep.
Pretty
Look,
much.
I'm going through this in a couple chats right now where, you know, look, I get people don't like the word racism because they think it's easier to point to, but dude, it's racism. It's just blatant racism. Like not everything is racism. Not everything is, you know what I mean? But when 96% of the population that you have hired has come from one, I don't care what the race is or what the demographic is. Like if you only hired 96% males, even though, you know, the population doesn't break down that way and there's many more women and you never hire them, well, then you're sexist. It's no different with the race. You know, if you're hiring 96% white guys, oh wait, 95, because I took out Robert Sala because he's Middle Eastern. It's clear as day. Like maybe it's unconscious bias. I've heard a couple people say, which is funny to me because I don't believe that's a thing. Like you know what I mean? Like, dude, there's no such thing as colorblind. I can tell when a dude looks like me. I can look at you two and go, yeah. Chris and Dan look alike. You know what I mean? Like if we're in an interview, there's no way I wouldn't notice, you know, I'm interviewing you guys and be like, I think they're white. That's what my subconscious
maybe not. It's not.
Subconsciously is telling me that these guys are white. Oh, no.
Whitest of the white.
I'll get off my high horse.
All right,
that
Dan.
motherfucker could be Ron. All right. I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit here. And this one pains me because I was so high and I'm coming out. Jalen Reagor, guys. Jalen Reagor, stock down. I mean, it's not even just stock down. He's fucking dead in the water. Shane, I'm sorry. I know. At this point last year, ADP was 85.5. Right now, 179. That is the definition of hit the floor.
Shouldn't even be drafted.
And yeah, it's look, I love him as a prospect. I won't hide it or shy away from my misses to Sean Kaiser. It is what it is, and he'll forever be tied to the guy before Justin Jefferson, which really needs to stop. But there's literally no redeeming quality on any of his efficiency metrics. At least in his rookie season, he was top 20 in ADOT. Like, they were trying to use him more downfield. This year, it's sub 10. Like, he's in the 80s. Like, the one thing that you could use him for, because he's good vertically, he's very fast, they stopped doing that.
Because of
you could say because of Hurts, but because Devonta Smith took that role.
Yeah, because his hands are garbage.
That too.
And he couldn't get open. He's fast, but couldn't get open. He couldn't separate. So
I know he's been battling a bunch of off the field stuff with the family, but it's just that's it.
Yeah, he's
toast.
I mean, and obviously I'm a Philly guy, so I all the press conferences and whatnot. And when Nick Sirianni was talking about the wide receiver hierarchy, and he said, Devonta Smith obviously is their number one wide receiver. Quez Watkins is doing a good job as their number 2, and Jalen Reagor is their number 3. And he needs to improve. This guy was a first-round draft pick 2 years ago.
Oh,
he got passed by a 6th-round draft pick. They tried to manufacture touches for him. They did. And they didn't stop, and it was just painful all year because they're like, let's try and end around on him. And you're like, don't do that. And they're like, how about a bubble screen? And you're like, no, that's not going to work.
Don't do that either.
Just stop.
They tried so hard.
Yeah. I get why you can't cut him because he's basically his dead cap is more than what you pay him.
It's a first-round pick,
Right. So you got to keep him on the roster until you can cut him, but there's no reason he needs to play. Like, he should just be in the press box. I don't even think they let you do that when you're on the practice squad. Do that.
No.
Whatever. He needs to watch from his house. Like, me and him should have the same amount of snaps next year.
He should be playing water boy. Like, let the man run. Be loose just in case. But you're gonna be spraying water in your boys' face.
Yeah. And
you're thirsty.
Put him on. Go let him catch punts. Put him on special teams.
He can't even do that.
No, he's bad at that.
He's been bad at that.
Fumbled
this
in
year.
The playoffs. He fumbled in the playoffs on a punt return. He
had a horrible playoff.
He backed away from the punt.
Okay, go make him a gunner.
No, he can't do that either. You can't let him on the field. He's not allowed on the field anymore.
Go
run past the guy.
Hold on, we're gonna find something to him. Go have him tell Joe up in the bleachers he's got a head coaching interview.
We need you to go hold that.
He can be the clock management guy, which will probably fail at. Like, he can be what what McVay's homeboy does. Just grab
the get back guy.
The wires. I don't think he can do that. Just
grab the guy's weights when he gets out too far.
I don't think he can do that either.
We try.
There's got to be a job in the stadium for Jalen Reagor. Give him a head coaching interview.
Oh,
there's a callback.
Giants will interview him next year.
Gotta satisfy that Rooney Rule. Bullshit perspective. All right. Not that the Rooney Rule's bullshit. It's not. People skirting it is. Okay. Breakout and bounce back candidates. All right. Shane, was Cedric Wilson yours?
No,
okay. He's mine.
He's mine too.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple others too. So Dan, go. Shane, go ahead. Then Dan and I are gonna wax on Cedric Wilson. Then we'll get into one or two of the other guys I have down.
All right, look, and this is one of my players that, look, you got to remember, it doesn't matter what you think if you like a player or not. I don't particularly like Kenny Gainwell. And I have just like this blind spot for him. Like, every time he's on the field, and even when he does something well, I'm like, anyone could do that. Well,
I love Gainwell so much.
But
even Jalen Reagor could do that.
For some reason, I seem to like a lot of Philly guys. I don't know if that's a good thing though.
No.
So I'd expect Jordan Howard to move on, and maybe even Boston Scott. And look, when the guy was on the field, he was productive. I can't as much as I want to be a Miles Sanders stan and try to shoo away Kenny Gainwell's production. He was productive when he got the ball last year. and he scored touchdowns. His only problem was when you look at his stats is that they went away from him for a while. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm sure they had their reasons, but they had a 3-man running back committee at one point.
It was the same reason why they kept going away from Miles Sanders. It was clearly the best running back on their roster.
Well, Miles Sanders is more because he fumbles and then he runs out of bounds when you're trying to end the game twice. Twice. Like back-to-back plays. You're like, dude, I can give you the first one, but you did the same thing on the other side of the field. What are you doing? Stop running out of bounds. We're trying to run out the clock. I think Kenny Gainwell is going to be the primary backup there. And backup, I mean, he's probably going to see a 60-40 split with Sanders next year, which also means he'll probably get some starts because Sanders, the one thing that he is persistent and consistent at is getting injured.
Hamstring injuries?
It's just every injury and fumbling and breaking my heart. That's the one thing he does every year very well. So
and dropping balls in practice.
Yes, dropping balls in practice so that they can't even trust to throw him balls on. It's heartbreaking, all of it. Physically, he's so efficient as a runner. You see him when he's in the open field and he actually catches the ball and doesn't fumble it. He's lightning in a bottle, man. But he just for whatever reason can't put it all together. So I'm gonna go with Kenny Gainwell. I don't particularly like him, but look, he looked good last year, and the coaches like him.
I mean, I can appreciate it.
I can also appreciate it. All right, Dan, go ahead with Cedric Wilson. Then I'll tack on whatever I want to, and then pick another guy or two.
I'll let you pat on the stats because really, from Wilson's standpoint, it's what's really there right now in Dallas. Dallas is third lowest salary cap. They got a lot of contract to also shed this year. Gallup and Wilson are technically not signed yet. They're both free agents. Wilson's going to cost significantly cheaper than Gallup. Gallup will likely go sign somewhere else because I just don't think that the Dallas is going to be able to afford him. Rumor has it they want to also try to move Cooper's contract. Zeke's they definitely won't. I don't see how that's going to work, but Wentz was traded, so anything can fucking happen. But Cooper's the big one because I think Cooper has reached. I think he's over the hill. He also can't stay healthy. He was outplayed towards the end of stretches. The only way that he is anywhere productive is if Dak decides to have hungry highs for him in that particular game. Wilson was just he fits the perfect role to fit into that number 2 spot alongside CeeDee Lamb. Bro, I'll let you.
Yeah,
stats.
Yeah, yards per reception and catch rate improved every year, as has his utilizations. 37th in contested catch, 16th in target separation. Neither of those are really going to blow your socks off, but I mean, if you are top 20 in target separation as a not top receiver on a team, and are winning enough contested catch balls to be top 40 in the league, that's enough to get the job done as a 2. 9th in yards per target. You had just 1 drop, so reliable hands. 3rd in fantasy points per target. So it's a lot like Gabe Davis, where you're looking for an increased role to really help the volume and leverage some of these underlying stats that could propel him to the next level. He's a third-year guy. So you do have that you need to pay attention to. But high-volume passing offense and like Dan said, he's going to be significantly less to re-sign than Gallup, and I do expect Dallas to probably move on from Cooper. So if Cedric Wilson falls himself into an increased role, I absolutely love what's underlying for him that points to potential breakout. It's the same pointers that Gabe Davis has, but without nearly the amount of people talking about it.
Well, when you have a 4-touchdown game in the playoffs. That's all. I mean, that's all anyone's gonna, circle jerk to at this point. So
yeah. The other 3 guys that I had down for this were Amari. I can probably talk about 2 of them really quick. One of them was Amari Cooper, in the honorable mention category, and that's just because I think that if he moves on from Dallas, he'll, his profile didn't necessarily show regression. His target volume was down, but everything else, catch rate, depth of target, all of his high-level metrics, his efficiency numbers, separation, it was all level with where he's been at the rest of his career, which has been productive. There's not like underlying signs of regression other than his volume was less than what it had been in years past. So, when that's the one thing that seems to be different is volume, and then to a lesser degree, maybe some of your target depth, and everything else is pretty well level. That tells me that you're probably going to have a regression to the mean when you've been in the league for the length of time that Cooper has. McCaffrey is all injury-based. So the other guy that I want to talk about here, and this is going to be vomit-inducing for some people on the show, probably all of us, I think, is Kadarius.
Oh, please. Okay.
What do you think I was going to say?
No, who are you going to say?
Okay, it's Kadarius Toney. So every Giants receiver this year was bad. When you look at either ADOT or different efficiency numbers from from yak to broken tackles to separation to yards before catch to contested catch rate, everyone was bad. It was a bad scheme and a bad quarterback situation, and it hurt every receiver in that. But Kadarius Toney's profile actually did have some bright spots when he was healthy. He was 7th in target rate, low volume team, 17th in yards per route run. Separation was solid. Contested catch rate was very passable. 40th in yak while missing 6 games. So again, that's the counting stat. He missed 6 games and was still, essentially top 30% of the league easily. He had multiple sprains, missed time. Giants were a dumpster fire of an offense, but there's some things in Toney's profile that, if they can start to right that ship a little bit under Dable, that could be useful. I'm not as bullish on a Toney breakout as I am like a Cedric Wilson or a Gabe Davis should the opportunity present itself. I like the Gainwell take, but for a player that in year one flashed when nobody else around him did, I just don't think you can turn a blind eye to that, regardless of how you feel about that player.
No, and he's also going to be significantly cheap because when the community decides to shit on a player, it takes forever. I mean, forever for his value to catch up. I mean, big case in point is Josh Allen. It took forever, for the community to want to completely buy into him. I mean, even after the 2020 season, people were like, well, let me see it one more time, Josh. Just give me one more. Tony's going to be in the same way. He's going to be a value nearly every year until the validation is proven in one way or the other. I still don't love him as a prospect, but he has that one game, and that's what we're going to lean on until the Giants decide to tell us otherwise.
Yeah, I didn't love him as a prospect either. And like I said, there are just some things in the profile that stood out a little bit to me as I was looking through him and evaluating it kind of the same as I do everyone else. And when you looked at the receivers around him, too. Shepard and Galladay. They just stood out.
Horrible.
Okay.
All right, beer preview. I have no beer left to review. I'm ready.
Really don't
I'll tell you, my Jack and Coke was good.
Good.
That sounds like something I would say.
Are you getting more?
No.
I think it's a bourbon. I'm not leaving the house tomorrow. I'll probably get some bourbon after this.
I'm not leaving the house tomorrow at all. I'm either going to get some bourbon or I'm going to walk 6 feet to the Keezer and pour myself another beer.
All right, I am drinking Energy Cities. Also, for those who are wondering, based out of St. Charles, Illinois, one of the Chicago suburbs. I'm drinking their Bistro series, which is their fruited or smoothie style. What advice is this dessert style is the lemon meringue pie. It's exactly how it's supposed to mirror that of you eating one. You get the heavy, thick lemon with the tartness that comes to it is very, very cream, heavy mouthfeel. Boom. Giddy. You get, even a bit of the graham cracker, to kind of resemble the crust. So it's I've met these people Very, 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 very bright, and they do a tremendous job. And if you were ever in the Chicago area, you will be able to start to find them throughout the places. So if you're up there,
And you should go there.
see it.
It's a fantastic area.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. I had Grammy cakes from Maplewood. This is an ale with coffee, cinnamon, and natural graham cracker flavor. Typical blonde ale body or cream ale body. It's very light, very easy drinking. Very soft on the eyes. Same things I'd say about Shane. Light, easy drinking, soft on the eyes. Absolutely. Sweet. Actually, it's not overly sweet. There is a little bit of a graham cracker sweetness to it underneath of it. The coffee is not overwhelming, though. It does very, very well to balance that out. Cinnamon spice is just there. It's a nice, subtle little hint. Very, very easy drinking. None of the flavors are overwhelming. It's not sickeningly sweet. It's not overly bitter from the coffee. It's another good Maplewood beer. I don't have a lot else to say about it. It's another good Maplewood beer that drinks nice and balanced with all the flavors present.
Sounds good. I would like some.
Okay.
Send me some.
Okay, I can do that.
Next time I'm out and I see the Girl Scouts, I'll be like, give me the beer.
Yeah, give me the Grammy cakes. I want the Grammy cakes.
I want the Grammy cake beers, and they'll just look at me like I'm insane. I'm like, whatever.
So I actually have, I think it's Four Hands. Oh, Fallon does the cookie tin. I think Four Hands did a series of Girl Scout cookie-themed beers, and I think I still got the Samoa one upstairs. It wasn't great.
No. Look, I'm not a. I want my beer to taste like cookie.
No, I'm about to go pour an Irish Red. I like classic beer styles too.
Yeah. Like I'm like a lager guy.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna get fancy, I'll be like a Mike's hard cider or Red's apple ale, something like that. But that's about as fancy as I get.
See, I got a lager. I got lagers for next week.
Yeah, as soon as there's like 3 descriptors in the title of a beer, I'm like, I'm out. This is way too much for me.
I actually meant to do lagers this week because you were coming on, and the name of it is lager is a 4-letter word. So I meant to go that route, but I just asked for this because it's what I really wanted after a bad day. All right, trade away, Shane. Who are you trading?
So at first I said Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I found a better person to trade away. Because Amon-Ra St. Brown might get me, I don't know, mid to late 2022 first. Cam Akers, spicy. That dude could get me like a 2023 first, maybe 2 2023 first, a 2022 first, and a 2023 first, because America loves Cam Akers. We went ape shit when dude came back, as we should have, because that's amazing to come back from an Achilles in 3 months, whatever it was, 4 months, whatever ridiculousness it is. He broke medical science. That's all I know. And congratulations to him for making it back. But he didn't actually look very good. I mean, he looked a little bursty, but his numbers aren't actually very good. And I thought he was high priced. I thought he was overpriced entering last year before the injury. Like everybody already had him anointed as a top 5 running back already. I don't see him there. So that's a guy that I'm looking to move. I think I could pull 2 firsts for him, and if I could, I would do that immediately.
I'm with you. I would absolutely do that. I've never been much of a Cam Akers fan, period. I didn't like him coming out. I thought that people hyping him up to be that top 5 running back was a little over the top, a little bit far-fetched. Gurley had just come off of a not super efficient season. Akers had shown some flashes, but not a ton of efficiency. Older offensive line. It's just one of those things I didn't see happening, given the fact that I didn't like the prospect profile all that much to begin with, and then I didn't think the situation was necessarily that fantastic for a back who I didn't believe on the upside. I'm not taking anything away from his comeback because it's miraculous, but I completely agree. If the hype's up on his being back and people aren't scared of the Achilles, and let's say he goes out and has an awesome Super Bowl or something like that, I'm absolutely looking to move Cam Akers for picks, even into next year.
I think the one nice thing in what you can be used as a selling point is that he immediately comes back, and in game 2 he commands the lion's share of the carries. Like it's like, and that's where the hype is building from. It's the fact that even with Sony Michel there, they're like, nah, fuck it, we're gonna give Akers everything. And you have a high. It's kind of like Devin Singletary, but he's actually liked in a sense. And I liked him as a prospect coming out, but I mean I agree, right? We don't know what his ceiling looks like post injury. All we get is his playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it's vaulted.
He's looked bad. I can see it coming down a little bit. I'm wondering what they're going to do in the offseason. They're going to try to retain Michelle, but it's going to be hyped up. A lot of people like him, and if you don't, he's an easy guy to throw on the trade block, right? We've always said it. You don't have to trade the player throwing the block, but you definitely smart to see what his value looks like amongst your league mates.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going for another bell curve guy. So I mentioned it last show. I'll mention it again. When I look at guys that I want to trade away, a lot of people try to trade people away at peak value. I'm trying to trade people away after I have used up their several years of value, when I start to get the sense that they're starting the downswing of a bell curve, because progress for a lot of players is a bell curve. Yeah, I mean, you peak, you have a couple good years, and then you start to come off of it. So the guy that I'm looking to get rid of is Zeke Elliott. So lowest yardage total in a full season of his career. His attempts per game were down as Tony Pollard started to eat into really his touches and his workload. They've been down each of the last 4 years. His receiving involvement was the lowest since his sophomore year. Remember, there was a scheme switch as well. Receiving yards per target have gone down every year of his career. Catch rate has also decreased each of the previous 4 seasons. Yards after carry, yards after contact per attempt and broken tackles down each of the last 3 years. Attempts per broken tackle has gone up, which is not a good thing. You want the guy like Zeke, who's running between the tackles and a big burly back, to break some of those tackles. It's just not happening. There's not a category where Zeke has not shown over the last 3 seasons, consistent decline. The evaded tackle numbers are good. Run block efficiency is 25th. So, I mean, not great, not terrible. But it's not good when you look across the running back's profile and you see, especially after a coaching change, and you just see that everything is down. Everything is down, and it's not just down 1 year. It's been trending down for the last several years for a guy that is, 26 years old, I think now, and you've got a back right behind him that's trending the opposite direction. I think Zeke is somebody that I'm looking to move on from. And try to get a couple first rounders out of him. Try to get him to a contender that's like, well, he was a running back 6 or the Cowboys fan in your league, because there's always 3 of them that overvalue every freaking Cowboys player.
The best thing to use is that his contract makes him almost impossible to trade.
It does.
He is actually, outside of running backs and rookie contracts, he's one of these safe fits in terms of what the expectation is for him in terms of actual touches, because he's being paid so much that if he stays in Dallas, it almost becomes absolutely no way that you cannot use him, even though with that narrative he had a 58% opportunity share.
The one thing is his contract. They can get out of his contract after this season without too monstrous of a hit, and I fully expect them to do so too.
They save about it's next year is where you want to look at it, which is good, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it's good. All right,
it's the right time.
Right team, different player though. CeeDee Lamb. You want to go bold here?
I see it.
You want to, try to move a guy whose value will always be propped up a little bit higher than maybe what it should be because of the helmet. the star on the helmet, right? A lot of Cowboys fans, they travel. They're absolutely all over the place. High draft capital. Great first year. Not to say that he had a bad second year. 125 targets is good. It's just nothing's really. There's nothing that it seems
Not elite.
encouraging, right?
Not
He's not elite.
He's
And
he's really close to T. Higgins, actually. When you look
I
at
would
their stats and everything.
I would almost rather have T. Higgins. The only saving grace is that if they do change over the pass catching room, Lamb is still the number one. We can talk all we want about Cedric Wilson if they bring back Gallup. Lamb in that inside slot role should still be the number one. But it's just when you watch him play, when you look at at the end of the season snash, you look at his efficiency metrics, his calling cards yards after the catch, he finished with 17. He was 17th in the league of just 406. So the best thing about him is he's regressed in. And everything's not top five. He's being treated as a top five, a top five receiver in that tier right below Jefferson and Chase. And yet most of his metrics, he's top 20. You want to maximize, you want to utilize, you want to take the value, its name value and the logo on the helmet and try to utilize that as a way to move on to maybe someone that can give you actually a little bit more ceiling to him. I mean, right now it's even in an offense that finished top 5 in passing plays per game. It's, I don't want top 20. I want top 5.
I traded him. We did this thing in a couple of the patron chats I'm in. One of Dynasty Trades HQ and the others Dynasty and Chill patron. 2 of a few actually, but one's mine and one's one of my co-hosts Scott's on 2 of my shows. 1, 2, yeah, 2 of the shows that I'm on. Anyway,
is it hard to keep track of them all?
So many.
No, there's just 4. There's HQ, Dynasty Trades at 5, Mannequin Chill, and Dynasty Intervention. Yeah, just 4. We all wanted to do that CD pivot a few weeks back. We were like, dude, trade CD and a second for T. Higgins and a first. And if it could be a 2023 first, like then you're really smashed.
Yeah.
Then it's getting, but yeah, we were able to pull it off. A couple of us were able to pull it off, or maybe not T. Higgins, maybe Jalen Waddle, but someone in that range.
Yeah.
That the CD's got the name. And again, it's not that CD's bad. It's just we expected, honestly, at this point, and I know it's only been 2 years, whatever, but I expected him going into next year to be in contention for the wide receiver 1.
Right.
And
yeah.
He's not there. He's not.
And
I mean, he's being surpassed by a wide receiver who's 3 years older than him in rankings.
To me, it's purely a perception thing too, right? Because when I drilled down into both players, which by this point I've done at least to a degree, it's Lamb and Higgins are really, really close. They're really, really close in how their 2021 season went, how they're trending, what the underlying metrics look like. Waddle is, I think, actually a little higher than those two. Projects a little bit better for me. But Higgins and Lamb are close. So if you can make that exchange and up your draft capital at the same time, because the perception on CeeDee Lamb is, well, he plays for Dallas, the high-volume offense, he's going to be the one, and the perception on T. Higgins isn't quite as high because he's overshadowed by Chase in that offense, absolutely that's a win.
Hell, I wouldn't even hate even 2 firsts. If you can get a top 3 pick this year and get that lottery ticket for 23, especially in a super flex, which is going to, of course, push value down. Like, give me Burks, London, and try to pair it up with, with the guy from 23. And how much more off are they going to be from CD? Especially Burks with his raw potential.
Yeah.
I like it. Make the move, peoples.
Make it.
All right. Dan, who are you holding on to other than me?
Only you.
Only me?
Only you.
I feel special. I know you're bullshitting, though.
My hold was actually going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. And
there's a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown in this episode.
It's very fitting. But I was going to actually pivot to Devontae Adams, and for the sole fact is that trying to trade him now with this big kind of cloud lingering over his head of where he's going to play, if he's going to play on a team without Rodgers, reports of what he's asking for, from a contract year perspective, I think I saw $30 million a year. I don't see how he gets that, but it's what you can get from him. I think he will follow Rodgers, and I've changed my tune. If I don't think Rodgers retires, I think he does stay in Green Bay. I do, and that's just going to only vault his value up higher. His role is insulated in Green Bay. It's hard for me to see Rodgers want to leave one of the easiest divisions for him to move through. I know from an ego standpoint, he can go to the AFC West, so we can make jokes about that again. But if he wants to play the playoff run they had, I can't imagine from a guy who wants to be like considered the best to leave in the situation that he left in this year. I think Rodgers plays out this year, maybe another 2, and Adams follows suit, and you already have a wide receiver, even though he's getting older, has the skill set to be a productive receiver going into his early to mid 30s, tethered to a quarterback who's almost 40 years old and playing at an MVP rate. So hold Adams. If you want to trade him, you got to wait until we see where he lands. His value is only gonna change a lot depending on where he decides to go, or I don't see him retiring, but wherever he lands, he's more likely to be number one. Like, what if he goes to a team that wants to also compete? What if he goes to Kansas City? Like,
is there any place he could land where he wouldn't be the one?
Cincinnati, but I don't see why they.
I don't think he's gonna land it.
Yeah,
but
okay, so
but you're absolutely right
plausible.
though too. Yeah, like wherever he goes, he can get there, and he's almost leaning towards that buy low at this point, because I'd take that risk if I can get it.
Yeah, I did a write up on him for Dynasty League football. Basically, cash out or ride out on Devontae, and I'm fine with letting him retire on my roster.
Yeah, it's like Derrick Henry at this point. You know until there is no 1 or 2 seasons of bad production. It's elite to just
when the wheels are off, it's off.
Yeah, you'll know.
There are some players that are like that.
And that's A-OK.
Yep. Who you hold on to, Shane?
DJ Moore. This is it. This is final year. I probably shouldn't. Generally, if someone's going to be elite, they're going to be elite within their first 4 seasons, right? He's been very good. And we keep writing the story. Well, this year he's going to get a quarterback. Well, this year he's going to get a quarterback. Well, this year he's going to get a quarterback. Well, maybe this year he'll get a quarterback.
A wrong class to go after too.
Yeah. I'm just going to hold on because I still think athletically, everything you liked about him coming out of college still holds true. Right? Athletically, he was a wonderkin. I don't know if that's a word. He's a target monster. He's shown that he can, while it's not his best skill, he can play the deep threat, although I'd rather him not, or he can be the intermediate short passing guy. Maybe one day they'll be on that offense. They'll unlock all 3 levels of the field with him when they realize he can play absolutely and he can ball all over the field. And maybe he'll get 150 targets and he'll score touchdowns. So I'm asking for a lot, but I'm going to hold on to DJ because, frankly, I love the kid.
He had 162 this year.
Did he? All right, I need him to get 170.
It's so weird. You're right, because he's the new Allen Robinson at this point. Get the man a quarterback. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
He's actually better than Robertson. And
Wonderkind is a word.
Okay.
A person who achieves great success when relatively young. So I don't know that it applies there because he has achieved good success. But
he achieved great success in college because his breakeout age was great.
That's
but you
true.
shouldn't
Okay,
really be counting
relatively
breakout age for a guy that's going into his 5th NFL season.
He's so good. Get the man touchdown. He's like a smaller Julio.
All right, I'm probably going to regret this one, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there anyway. It's Evan Ingram. And people are going to think I'm crazy for this, but
He's so cheap right now.
the
It's
fact is he
ridiculous.
has no value. This isn't a buy, this is a hold, and he has no value to trade him away. So you're going to hope he rebounds, right? Especially with the cluster that tight ends is. All he's got to do is hit tight end 5, and there's value there. But either way, kind of same for Ingram with the Giants. As far as what happened with him versus other receivers, it was affected majorly by the offense. But what he did have, high-level catch rate, definitely used as a move tight end. He was top 10 in his utilization at the position. He is also surprisingly good with his separation and contested catch rates. He's third in separation, seventh in contested catch. He ran a metric shitload of routes, and everything is still there for him to perform at a high level. Showcasing good contested catch rate, good separation as a tight end. The drops get a lot of attention, but really they're not as high as I think the narrative makes it out to be. And, like I said, ton of routes. He's used as a move tight end. And in the tight end position being what it is, you can't really ask for a lot more. Either you have Mark Andrews and George Kittle you have Mark Andrews or George Kittle or Travis Kelce at this point, or you're scrambling for somebody that's going to put up production at a level above replacement. So like a guy like Dawson Knox or Dalton Schultz, and there's no reason that Ingram can't, hit that echelon as well, especially considering free agency this year. So you're going to have an opportunity for where does he land. When that happens, you may actually have an opportunity to sell off too, if it's someplace where it's going to lend a lot of hype to him. But I think overall, there's still a lot of good there in his profile, and like Dan said, he's dirt cheap if you want to go buy, and if you want to hold, it's going to be a change of scenery in one way or another, either in a new Giants offense, on an offense that made Dawson Knox relevant, or in a new location.
Can we just sit and think for a second? Who thought that all three of your first round picks of tight end picks in 2017 would be at its value point 5 seasons later, entering their 5th season?
No.
OJ Howard,
Nope.
Njoku, Ingram,
Nope.
Howard and Njoku were supposed to be damn near can't miss.
Oh, so was Ingram. All three of them were, really.
Ingram was like the prototype of what a move tight end is supposed to look like moving
and
forward.
Yeah.
And the Giants,
I'm actually
they saw his rookie season and they said, we can't have that. We can't have him setting records. Why don't we try to have him block a little bit? And I don't know. I blame the teams for a lot of it. Like Njoku smashed relative in his first
injuries is what really bit him.
Right.
And
Well,
OJ
then they go out
Howard-
and give Austin Hooper a big contract.
Yeah, there was no need for that. I'm super stoked for Njoku to see where he ends up.
I'm actually because just how inexpensive these three are and how good of prospects they were, just their profiles as a whole.
Yeah.
Like we've seen a lot of tight ends break out late.
Breakouts.
It's one of the hardest positions to really transition into
Well,
from college to the pros.
OJ Howard was injuries, and then you bring in Gronk.
Yeah, that too. And he was great his first 2 years, minus the injuries.
Yep.
By the way, who expected Cameron Brate to still be hanging around on that roster?
And his weird ass 6-year contract that had it out every year. Like, nope. God damn it.
We're staying with
keeping
him.
him.
I love
I
Cameron
love
Brate.
it. I'm actually trying to scoop up as much as these those 3 tight ends. Ingram's been kind of the hardest, oddly, but Njoku's been dropped in so many leagues, it feels like, and so has Howard, that it's just like, man, these guys move on to
Wherever. Just change the scenery.
significantly. Yeah, it could do wonders for them. Like, they're so.
I can count on one hand the teams you don't want them to land on.
Not the
all 3
New
are
York
going
Giants.
to New England.
Yeah.
Not the Giants.
All 3 is going to the Patriots.
Philly really needs a Zach Ertz replacement behind Goddard.
Running that 3 tight end set, you don't really see that often.
It's that 5 tight end set. They're going to
Love
play
it.
all 5. They're just going to line up Ingram and OJ Howard on the outside.
Love it.
Pour some water on Adam Troutman. Somebody's going to New Orleans.
Troutman.
I don't think I want any of these guys to go to New Orleans. Jeez.
I
That
don't
team
like-
might be the worst
I don't-
offense in football next year.
I don't want it to happen either.
Oh,
They
my
don't,
God.
they don't have a quarterback on the roster that's actually signed. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. They have Ian Book. I'm sorry.
They actually have their tight end of the future there, too.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah, just mistakenly playing quarterback right now.
Is Taysom not signed next year?
He
is.
had one of those weird, but he has one of those weird void contracts.
Yeah.
Where we signed you to $1 billion, but it voids as soon as you sign it because we.
It was like
disappearing
Brady's
ink.
contract, too. It was
Yeah.
like Brady's contract with Tampa
Yeah.
this year.
They use disappearing ink, so
The money's gone. Poof.
Whew. It's
You
just
weren't
like
here.
it's just like when I pay bills. The money's gone. Poof.
exactly.
Look at all this money I got paid, and poof's gone.
And it's gone. Did that
That's
cover?
the show?
Did that cover it? Is that the show?
That's the show.
That's the show.
That's the show.
Shane, tell people where they can find you one more time, since we're a little short. We're about 30 minutes short of where we're normally at. So I figured that given everywhere you're at, we could probably take up the full 30 minutes if you just type in your different projects.
Let's see. So I do the writing. Well, not all the writing, but I write for the Dynasty League football, fantasy data. Links to both of those at my what do you call that? My Twitters. You can find me at the Twitters at the Shane is the worst. What else do I do? Oh, Dynasty Trades HQ podcast.
What else do I do? Oh,
do that
Dynasty
every
Trades
week.
HQ. You forgot about that one.
My main
Yeah,
podcast.
The main
That's my
one.
main podcast. That's my main squeeze. Then I also got let's see, Dynasty Trades in 5 YouTube channel where we discuss trades in allegedly 5 minutes. Although we've been kind
That's
of going a
impressive.
little long lately, and we've been getting into more strategy stuff. So that's fun. That's what my buddy Scott and Clay. Manic and Chill. Once in a while when me and Scott feel like doing it on the DLF YouTubes, and then every Wednesday night live streaming with my dudes Jacob and Chase for fantasy, sometimes Dynasty intervention, depending on the season.
Cool.
That's it.
Awesome. I'm at Beerfield Hop. Shows at Beerfield on Twitter. Beerfield Podcast on YouTube, where you can catch all the content live as we record it, and then after the fact. Dan,
Beerfield Theory.
Beerfield Theory. Figure if I
That's
just
it.
let
I mean,
you
we're not
say
as
your
cool
Twitter
as
handle.
We're not as cool as Shane and has all these side projects, side pieces.
I don't know if that makes me cool so much as just
I mean, it doesn't, but I just want to.
I have a bunch of side projects going on. There's just nothing
You
that
have
you
a lot
can
of side
check
projects.
into. I have a lot of things I do on the side, but I don't podcast about any of them.
you should
Oh.
just podcast
No.
about all of them.
We'll do it on one show.
We throw in random shows about things like that. I guarantee you there's going to be some disc golf, some blind bourbon tastings that are just fully dedicated. We've done
But that-
homebrew episodes with Chris Allen. We just don't do football some
the
weekends.
theme. But that still sticks with the theme.
Yeah.
Beer
Yeah.
fueled.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about just going off the reservation. Like, yeah, I'm doing this week.
We're doing a fucking cooking
knitting
show.
Yeah, like, we're doing
Beerfield
crocheting.
Nets.
Have you heard? Let's do extreme podcasting. Crochet.
We did a episode on Does Ranch Really Go With Everything last year.
That was fucking nuts.
It was terrible.
It doesn't go with cereal.
We found
Well,
that out.
we found
And
that out.
We found that out too. It does not go with cereal.
I tried Frosted Flakes, I think it was. It was not good.
Ooh.
When that shit curdles, it's like the worst thing in the world. It just-
Wasn't that a
it's so
beer shot
unappealing.
that it curdled in and was terrible?
Yeah.
There were a lot of bad. I threw up at one point. There were a lot of bad things.
I was gonna say there's lots of things that it does not go with.
Does not go with ice cream. Does not go with anything that
Dairy.
breaks it down more
You know what
Yeah.
it does go
and
with
then
though?
lumps it up.
Yeah.
You know what it does go with though? Calamari.
I can't eat seafood. It's bad for you.
Shout out DK Metcalf. All right.
Ranch on calamari.
Next time.
See you guys.